years now, and I will be your trainer. And of course, we will keep in touch also after this training. So if you have any concerns, issues, you can always get in touch with me, and I will be glad to help you however I can. Um, however, with these materials that we will present here today, you will have enough knowledge and enough documentation for you to use this system efficiently. So at the end of each training, I will share with you slides that we used for the training. So you will have these slides with you so that you can come back and review all these materials. So this will be very basic training. Of course, we need to show you how to configure tests, how to configure reports and alarms. This system is quite difficult, but once you start using it, you will see that it's quite easy, and quite user friendly for you to use. Okay, so our training will consist of two major parts. The first part will be testing, and second one will be reporting. So this is how we split usually our trainings. So what we cover with our training, so we cover all relevant technologies that can be found today across the globe. So with our global roamer quality, we cover 3G and 4G technologies. Then we can run carrier testing, we can run welcome SMS tests, data testing, steering of roaming, voice over LTE and 5G roaming, and of course IoT. So these latest technologies are also available and possible to test on our system. So I checked your purchase order, and I believe that you will be working with the basic entry system covering only these standard 3G and 4G technologies. Okay, so agenda for today will be global roamer concept and system overview. So we will do our best to show you today how to configure and run some basic tests. And then tomorrow, hopefully, we will start with some complex structures for running complex test scenarios and complex test environments for your periodically scheduled tests. So we will see how to schedule these tests to run like frequently 4 times a day or so. And then we will show you how to analyze tests. So this is very useful for your troubleshooting purposes or ad hoc tests, where you will see how to enter traces and read some information or gain some knowledge from these traces. So about global roamer concept and system overview, so we provide automated and active end-to-end testing and observation, so you can develop your own monitoring platform so that you can follow up on your major services in real time, where we deliver to you different reporting possibilities, also alarming possibilities for real-time alarming in case of some critical services needs to be monitored, where we support latest technologies such as 5G and IoT. So IoT for both narrowband and category M, Cat-M, LTE. So with our system, we cover 90% of the world, as you will see later on the system. So you can choose whatever country where you have your subscribers who roam and test quality over there. You should be able, I'm not sure now what exactly your contract is, but you should also be able to access our Mobilium SIM card pool. So these SIM cards are special. You can use them only to run test cases which do not incur costs on SIM cards. So that would be like network registration test cases, or cases where you are terminating calls. So you are free to use our SIM cards, for example, to originate call from your home country and to terminate it in the home country of your roaming partner, so that you can check the carrier and so on. So anyways, the access to Mobilium pool is granted only for test cases which do not incur costs on SIM cards. This is reasonable because if you Let's just imagine that if you try to log in this SIM card in some other country and do some extensive data testing, then you will, for sure, you would clear the balance and then other customers will not be able to use it. So that's why there's a general rule to use these SIM cards only for test cases that do not produce costs on these SIM cards. Now, our system, as you will see later on, is independent of time zones. So this means that whatever you do on system, you can in real time change time zones, or you can set up your own preferred time zone on a system if you will be using that system for your national tests or inbound roaming tests. So this system is quite easy to change time zones according to your preferences. Then, as you will see later on, individual definitions and tests are possible. So you can run your ad hoc tests if you know that you have installed some patch in your network and you want to check the accessibility or some key parameters or key performance indicators in your network. Then you can use some troubleshooting or ad hoc individual tests that you just run one time and collect the knowledge, and this would help you out to check if your patch is correctly installed in the network, and then you can compare it to previous periods to see if the situation has improved and so on. For that, we offer to you large libraries of test cases. We offer to you a library of report templates so that you don't have to build up template reports from the scratch, so that you can use our templates and have a quick access to your data. All this is, of course, for increasing your revenue by improving your service quality and reducing service outages. How come? It's just because that you will have, let's say, six tests per day running, and then in case you have some consecutive errors, you can be sure that there is some issue with network, and you can quickly jump to resolve that issue, and this will help you maintain or increase your revenue. Now, Global Roamer is based on pay as you use concept. So as far as I could see, you have already purchased 2,500 test units. And once you start using the system, you will see that you will have full control over the consumption of these units. So at any time, you will be able to see how many units you spend. If you need to purchase more, you can contact our sales and so on. But the concept is, so each test case carries a specific amount of test units that needs to be charged for, and this is done, for example, in case if you are using a single interface test case. So when we say single interface, it means one device, like one phone, one mobile phone. This is practically a data test or network registration test, or SMS loop test. So you are using only one device so that you can send SMS and then receive it back from SMSC to the same device. So these single side test cases, they will consume one test unit. So if you are using two-sided test cases, for example, you want to send an SMS from A side to B side. So these are two devices, and then you will be charged with two test units. So this is why it's called pay as you use concept, because what you use, you pay. So if you use SIM card from the pool, that will cost you additional test unit. So you are using one device to originate call, one device to terminate call. Then you are using one SIM from our pool on A side, and then one SIM from our pool on the B side. So this is already four test units you will be charged. So this is how the charging is done, which I will show you, of course, also later on. We have a special database and special table in that database which collects all this information. So whatever test case you use, all this information will be stored in that table, and then you will later on you will be able to retrieve this information into your reporting platform, and then you can keep an eye on your consumption. Um, eSIM supported, so we have special test cases and also eSIM provisioning available on our system, which is also some kind of latest technology, which is mostly nowadays used by automotive industries. So we have many customers customers also from that field. And of course, anywhere and anytime. This means that since recently we have developed a special portal which is based on your local web browser so that you can access our system anytime and from anywhere. So you only need Wi-Fi or mobile data, and then you just log on to the system and work with it. Okay, there's somebody knocking at the door, so let me just admit. Okay.
Yes. Solo lo hace el...
Okay. So let's move on. Anywhere, anytime. Yes. Footprint today, as we speak, we are covering 98% of the globe with 715 plus networks. Out of these 715 networks, you will have majority of your roaming partners covered in case that you need to run some outbound tests. We have our probes or our devices installed across 354 plus locations in 218 plus countries and territories with more than 50 fixed line networks across 59 again plus countries, because these figures are daily updated and changed, and we are of course always doing our best to increase our portfolio and to add new destinations where you can run your tests. Now this is all done by using central SIM multiplexer, where we have a pool from over 500 mobile network operators. So this is where our SIM pool cards are stored, and this is something that you can use, of course, across all available technologies, starting from 2G, 3G, then 4G, 5G, LTE, and finally the latest technologies such as IoT. Now, products and services. So there are many use cases for your various departments, which can find uh, their use cases on our system, on our platform. So you can run IREC testing, you can run global roamer quality tests, you can run steering of roaming, both inbound and outbound. Now, totally depending on what department you are working with and what kind of services you're interested in. So now this is again a very brief overview of what you can do with our system. Now, in case of rolling out some services, you can use our system to engage in IRA negotiations, IREC testing, TADEC testing, and then you can use our system for launching all these different technologies, but also to run some pre-launch tests in case of, let's say, IoT. So before you launch commercially these services, you can use our system to make sure that all services are accessible and all services are doing what they're supposed to do. Now, for the quality testing and monitoring, our system is completely able to cover all your demands and requests regarding global roamer quality, including LTE and data performance, both for inbound and outbound. Now, voice quality, SMS quality, 5G testing, and all the relevant KPIs coming out of these types of tests. So we have special test cases for emergency services testing. We have completely developed environment for IMS services testing, which covers all available and most popular IMS-based services such as voice over LTE, SMS over IP, then with the latest technologies such as Wi-Fi to VoLTE, Wi-Fi to VoIP, and so on. So all different types of IMS-based services. eSIM and remote SIM provisioning also possible. Now for managed service packages, so we have grouped our tests so that you can work on our system in global roamer quality environment where you can run your voice data and so on. Then we have possibilities to run voice and SMS for outbound, data roaming outbound, interconnect quality. So we have some customers who are interested to run, for example, interconnection between different operators so that you can see in your own country that tests from your home network are running with other competitors in your country and so on. Um, Roaming cost revenue optimization, different use cases again, where we also have now as an addition managed service packages. So this is from our consulting department. You can engage some of our staff that do these types of tests for you so that you don't have to you don't have to work on this yourself, but you can engage some of our colleagues who can develop roaming benchmarking environments for you and keep these tests and deliver to you ready to go analyses and reports. Of course, steering of roaming audit. So all different types of use cases can be done via our managed service. Um, so who can use these abilities that our system offers? So it can be used by operations, by quality teams, by wholesale, marketing, fraud departments. So we have use cases for all different types of users. This is again very similar to what we already told you. So um, different types of services for different types of departments. We have all different possibilities as listed here. Now 5G roaming testing. So this is something that we are constantly improving, adding new test destinations, and of course having possibility to know what your subscribers are experiencing is very important. So to have an insight into their own experience, you can check if they have issues with connectivity to 5G, with accessibility, if it supports voice over LTE, how the data performance is, where we have, so this is a little bit outdated. So messages and voice over a new radio is already implemented. So nowadays you can also test this. So messaging via 5G and voice over 5G interfaces. This is now also available. Um, at the moment when we were preparing this document, global 5G testing footprint was counting 59 locations across 53 countries. But this is, as we said earlier, this is something that is daily updated, and more locations are always coming. Um, Now IoT, again, just a brief information. So we offer global solution for end-to-end IoT testing, where we support all relevant technologies, where we are interacting with narrowband from the perspective of 2G, 3G, and LTE technologies. Um, so this IoT experience is actually offered as an access subscription so that you can run your tests yourself or as a managed service. So as we said earlier, so that consultants from our department can do these analyses for you and provide you with results, whether it's a national or roaming testing in place. Um, so whatever you do or we do for you, eventually it will provide you with specific reports and dashboards from where you can monitor your performance of your services. Of course, we can do pre-launch testing, we can do monitoring, and this is all, of course, to ensure seamless service for your new and existing customers. So what can we do in the world of IoT? We can test IoT connectivity to make sure that it's possible for your, let's say, outbound roamers or whatever. Then we can test IoT application part. Then we can test power saving settings to make sure that correct power saving settings are negotiated with the network. Um, of course, this can be done locally and globally. Again, IoT testing footprint is constantly increasing. Currently, it's 177 plus networks, and more locations are always coming. So now we are ac- actually at the global roamer concept. Just to show you quickly what are the main system components. So how does this work? So we have a client presented here as a computer or monitor from where your desktop device from where you are working. So how does this work? So we are communicating with a central unit, which is a repository of all the intelligence. So this central unit will contain database and engines for starting, running tests, and so on, all that intelligence. And this central unit will communicate via LAN or WAN, will communicate with SIM multiplexer through permanent IP connection. And SIM multiplexer is a device which is actually reading the content of your SIM card and making your SIM card like a digital object. So a digital object which can be sent as a via internet as an information to our remote units. So of course via internet. So our intelligence, so the centralized intelligence part with central unit and SIM multiplexer will be located, for example, in Germany. And from here, all this information will be sent to our remote local units, which can be anywhere in the world. So what are these local units? These are usually these types of, so on this picture, we have two types of local units. One is called simply local unit, and the other one is compact local unit. So compact can store up to 4 devices, and the local one can store up to 15 devices. So you see here, all these slots here are actually mobile phone simulate or emulators. So devices which are emulating your real phone with all the services and capabilities of a real phone. So why is this better than a real phone? Simply because it's a logical or motherboard which is stored in a chassis with constant and permanent dual power supply without any issues with batteries and so on. And usually these devices will have external antennas uh, which will provide a strong signal for you so that you can test your services and make sure that you will have good radio coverage for whatever operator or roaming partner you would like to test with your SIM cards. And this kind of architecture enables us to transfer digitally our SIM card from our centralized place in Germany to whatever place in the world. So it's possible to have your SIM card register in, I don't know, in Argentina, and then 2 minutes later, the same SIM card is registered in Australia. So this is the benefit of this SIM multiplexing. Um, Now, for the system architecture, as we said in the centralized part, we will have on the top of that our user interface from where we are accessing central unit server with all these uh, parts, important parts like central ONM manager, resource manager, central database, central test control. So these are all elements which are necessary to start a test, execute that test, and store the information in the database. This is all done by the help of our SIM multiplexer, where we can store a lot of SIM cards, create digital objects out of these SIM cards, and then via LAN 1 connectivity send these information to our remote local units um, that can be uh, as many as possible, of course. So in local units, again, we have our local OMN manager, which takes care of distribution of tasks. And then we have test case execution with various probes. Of course, this test case execution manager takes care of synchronization with different different units. So in case we are running two-sided test case where we have A side originating call and B side originating call, all this is synchronized by these special elements that are stored also on the local unit levels. So we have that intelligence installed on local units. So centralized part and then remote part. So this is the overall, like a bird perspective architecture of our system. Again, quickly, so what we do as clients, we select SIM card, we give that information to SIM multiplexer. SIM multiplexer will digitalize that SIM card, and via internet and global roamer resources, it will send your SIM card to our remote test units where our radio interfaces or smartphone or mobile phone emulators will take this SIM card and register it to a remote network via, of course, radio access. This we call virtual SIM card transfer. So we are virtually transferring your SIM card from SIM multiplexer to a distant remote location. Now, eSIM remote provisioning. So this is now something beyond uh, regular SIM card, plastic, as we call them, plastic SIM cards. So now this is something where we need a special equipment, and there are special procedures so that these eSIMs can remotely provisioned, and where, of course, we need to follow up special procedures. Okay. Now, for the global roamer concept, for our real end-to-end testing, where we eventually want to simulate our subscribers' behavior, um, what we offer is that we can test all services out there, that we have our user-friendly interface that will help you do this easily. Then we provide you with real-time results, with precise measurements, with high reliability of the system, where you can access your system 24/7, so it's always there available for you over all interfaces, meaning all types of technologies out there, and this can be done everywhere with our global roamer architecture we previously described to you. Now, user friendly, it means that this is very easy to access and understand environment using any popular web browser. We simply call it web user interface, which has intuitive interface for system operation and administration. So what does that mean? So once you are inside of the system, you will see that there are some environments and elements that are easily understandable for you if you are engaged in these types of works where you want to know how to access your tests, your reports, and so on. We will show this later on in details. This web interface can be easily accessed via any browser. So our global roamer platform uses a special application called Site, which is SIGOS, an abbreviation for SIGOS Integrated Testing Environment, and this is the application that is running on the global roamer system. Now, for the test case setup, once you start using testing environment, you will see that we have large library of predefined test cases, so you don't have to develop anything. Everything is already predefined and ready for you. You just need to parameterize it, of course, because you need to tell the system what SIM card to use, what location to use, to what operator to attach, and so on. So we need to give some basic information to the system so that the system know how to run this test. So for that, we provide very easy configuration and scheduling of these tests. We call them test cases. Of course, all the results of these test cases can be viewed via our trace analyzer tool. We will show you this also later on in details. So once you start working with the system, you will see that our test cases are divided in different categories like voice, data, which is also for your easier access. So whatever you need, you just go to these groups of tests and select whatever test you need from there. Um, so how do we enable, or how do we provide you with 24/7 automated testing? So we have a special scheduler on the system that provides automatic testing where you can run your tests at day or at night or at weekends, which of course avoids time consuming and work uh, with manual smartphones or manual devices where you need to every time open the device and insert the SIM card inside and then start it and then wait for network, and then this system will go beyond manual tests and allow you to automate your testing. So here is one example on this snapshot where we see how easily we can run periodical tests, which will start on this specific date as demonstrated here. So these tests should start on the February 11th at 1800 hours, and these tests should repeat itself every 3 hours with manual job distance. So there is no job distance, and this special, let's say, scheduling will start create one test, as we can see here in the description. And then we can tell the system to end these tests after 10 runs. So this practically means that in every 3 hours, we will run one test starting at 1800 hours. And all this will start after 10 runs. So the next one will be at, uh, let's say, in case we run this one. So the first one will start at 18. The second one will start at 21, then the third one at 24, and so on and so on. And it will run 10 times. And then this instance of scheduler will it life cycle will end after 10 runs, and it will simply be deleted from the database. What else will happen is that it will repeat any test case which is not pass. It will repeat it once. So as soon as there is a verdict such as failure or inconclusive, this scheduler will make it repeat itself. So why do we do this? We will see later on again. We do this to make sure that you will have enough samples in your database to produce a real network behavior. So maybe for you, it's if you are monitoring voice, maybe you don't want to jeopardize your success rate with poor radio access or something like that. So you want to repeat your test in case it's not passed. Then you will see that you have different priorities. You can run your tests at normal or low priority or high priority. You can abort test if it's waiting for too long for resources. You can abort it after, by the default, it's set to 4 hours, but you can change that also. Then you can run your tests only on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as you can see here. So we have a very extensive way of scheduling your tests, then only from specific hours of the day. So this is interesting if you want to run your tests during, let's say, the night or during the off work hours. This is an example of emergency tests. Yes, please. Do we have a question, please?
Let's see.
Yes.
How many simultaneous testing can we make? Can we do?
Well, there are restrictions there, which are simply related to capacity of the system. So, but we will show you this later on. I have some slides that will demonstrate these kinds of planning of your testing, and it will show you why we have these restrictions. But of course, you can run as many as you wish tests simultaneously, as long as you have enough SIM cards and enough interfaces, which would be, in other words, enough resources. So this running tests simultaneously is related to availability of your resources. There are also some network limitations. We have some special devices such as, I don't know, SS7 units that can be installed in your infrastructure and they can behave as a real BSCs. And then on these units, then you can run, I don't know, millions of tests in parallel because they are from inside of your infrastructure, and then you can control the number of these tests and you can limit them by the, let's say, bandwidth of your interface, if it's SS7 interface or A interface or whatever. But this is completely another story. Now, if we are speaking about the level of these tests that we are running on this basic level on the system, then they are completely influenced by the resources that are engaged in these tests, which would be, in our case, number of SIM cards and number of interfaces. So this, it's, but let's wait until following slides where I have some possibilities to demonstrate this better with some images and so on. Okay. Now, to explain to you how we ensure precise measurements. So this is a pure mathematical calculation, what we do here. So as an example here, we take how we create very basic location update duration KPI. So this is a snapshot of our trace where you can see that we simply take a timestamp of the time of beginning of location update. Then we take a timestamp of time of the end of location update. So we take these two timestamps and we subtract them, and then we receive an information about the duration of location update simply by subtracting these two timestamps. And then this KPI will be named, let's say, location update duration KPI, and it will be stored in the KPI database, and it will be available for you to use later on for your reporting. So this is how KPIs are calculated, and these KPIs will be stored in our database in different formats. For example, durations will be stored in milliseconds. But of course, you will see later on when you start to develop your reporting that you can also customize how these will be presented, so you can change from milliseconds to seconds, minutes, even hours. But this is how it's calculated. Okay, now, if there are some advanced users amongst you, I'm sorry in advance that I need to go through these very basic elements of our system. But if there are any new users, it's quite crucial to explain to you all these aspects, especially our verdicts of a test case. So this is very important to understand, because according to these three verdicts, all our system is created. So it's important to understand it. So pass. So we have three possibilities how one test can end. It's a pass, fail, and inconclusive. So you will be seeing a lot of these in your tests, these three colors, green, red, and yellow. So pass, this means that the objective of the test case is met, or test is successfully completed. So in case we are running a voice quality, then we will have a pass if this voice quality test has been successfully completed and mean opinion score or voice quality indicator is higher than the set threshold. So this is the objective is met. Or in the other example, we need to download one website and we have defined some keywords that we want to see in this website. And then if the downloaded website contains all this information, then we can say that our test is successfully completed, and then that we can flag this test with a pass or with green color. Okay. Or if we have if we are running an SMS test, then if the SMS is received within the predefined time, so we have successfully sent and received an SMS, and then it means that it's successfully completed. Again, it's a green. So what is failure? Okay, it's logical. So failure is that the objective of the test case is not met. So the call is dropped, or call initiation or call setup is unsuccessful, or SMS is rejected by SMSC, or it simply did not arrive within predefined time, or for the data tests, PDP context activation was rejected by the network. So this is still like, let's say, legit or legitimate resolution of your test because it failed and it showed you that there is a problem with your network, or there is a problem with the provisioning of your SIM card, or there is another problem which can help you solve issues in your network. So these two are pass and fail. They are legitimate verdicts of any test case, and for these two you will be also charged with your test units. Now we have a third possibility how one test case can end, and this one is called inconclusive. It's flagged with or painted in yellow color, and this means that there is a problem with your test case which is not related to the service quality. So what happened here is either the interface or SIM cards is not available at the moment of test case execution, or there is a overscheduling of resources, so you are using only one SIM and one interface, and you started 200 tests in parallel. So it's normal that all these tests cannot run in parallel because we have a limited number of resources. Then there is no network access. So you are trying to access some network which is, let's say, shut down, or there is a poor coverage at the moment due to weather conditions or whatever. So if there is no network access, then we will not charge you with test units and your test will run inconclusive. Or if the test case is manually aborted by the user, then again it will be flagged as inconclusive, and you will not be charged for that. Um, so this is very important to understand these three outcomes. So all test cases, when they are finished, they will be any of these three. They can be any of these three. Now for the reporting. So how does that work? So we have possibility to, or you will have possibility, hopefully after we end this training, you will be able by yourselves to create reports, then to create dashboards, then to create service alarms. And of course, we have possibility to create service alarm map so that you can monitor for your outbound roaming, that you can monitor status of your subscribers across the globe. If there are some issues with some services, then you will be able to visually monitor these areas. Of course, we have some additional features on the system which are not presented here in this training, such as a single service indicator, which is actually good if you are monitoring over a huge number of operators or your roaming partners, and then you want to have single service indicators which consist of different KPIs. Let's say that you measure your voice with 20% importance, you measure data 20, and then you measure SMS 20, and you measure another one 20, and then you put all these together to get 100% scoring out of all your monitored services. And then in this way, you just monitor one element instead of 4 individual services or 5 individual services. So this is also possible. Then again, we have this possibility to use application access from the application, so that you run your tests from the application part, which is also an additional feature. I'm not sure that you as a customer has ordered this kind of feature. But this is again to improve processes or speed up processes to start tests that you can run it from your command prompt or so. For report visualization on the system, we have a lot of different standard chart types that you can use to visualize your data, your running data. We have lines, markers, bars, and so on. So all the standard and typical charts are supported. And then, of course, we have easy access and visualization of configured reports directly from your web user interface, as you will see. So this is now here one example of detailed KPI report according to GSM Association recommendation for IREG 81. So you see here how it's done by using our GRQ environment with matrix multi so that you can use KPIs coming out of different test cases. So it's not single service here monitored, but different services such as PS success ratio, PS location average success ratio, then let's say ping for service access, then HTTP performance, then FTP performance, and so on and so on, all in one place for different roaming partners. Of course, again, across this can be done across different technologies. And this would be all about introduction. So we have just wanted to use these initial slides just to introduce you with the system. How does it work? What architecture is there? What services can be tested? So this is just like a bird eye view or bird perspective to our system, so that you understand whatever we can do with the system. And now we can already, if you don't have any general questions, we can now finally move to the concrete stuff. So to test case configuration to show you how to access the system and to start with the hands on the tool, let's say. Um,
Hello.
yes, please. If you have issues with your microphones or so, Francisco, for example, you can also message us or email us with any questions if you have.
It's
Also.
okay.
Yeah.
Here we want to have your help desk access for doing report when the system is not working properly.
I'm afraid I don't understand. So if the system is not working properly, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's not working. We don't have access to your system. For example, the website is down or something like that.
Yeah, well, you see the logic, the how to say, the intelligence of the system is stored somewhere else. In case of global roamer, it's in our server rooms in Germany, in Nuremberg. So if you have problems with accessing the system from your local machine, from your local desktop, this doesn't mean that the system is not working. Our system is probably working, even if there is a system upgrade in place which prevents you from accessing the system will still be working at a certain level to preserve all your data, all your work, so your work will not be lost. So if you cannot access the system, it doesn't mean that we don't have a backup uh, system which will, in case of some kind of, let's say, even physical, let's say there is a fire, then we have redundant systems which will take over and cover for this. So practically your data is completely protected from any kind of failing and as I said earlier, if there is a local problem with accessing the system, you will still be receiving your reports if you have scheduled them to come to your inboxes periodically. So what most of our customers are doing is that they want to see weekly overviews of or weekly statistics of the services they monitor, and they want to receive every morning, Monday morning, 8 o'clock reports. So these reports will be coming in regardless of issues with the system. I'm not sure if I'm in a correct direction to answer your question.
Well, actually, we want to know the access information to your help desk.
Aha, of course.
Email,
Yeah, of course.
phone.
Sure.
kind of
I will show you
information.
this. I have slides for this. Don't worry. Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
We will wait then.
Yes. I will show you all this information in slides, of course. So let's move on. It will be much easier to understand later on. So test case configuration. So we are now putting our hands on the tool. So we will show you how to access Global Roamer, how to configure tests, how to set up or choose tests from our extensive or huge test case library where we have different categories and so on. And then how to set up your test, how to execute your test. And of course, to do so, you need to know how to parameterize it, and then how to monitor in a real time the active tests, how to look for tests that were performed in the past. So historical overview of tests, how to access test definitions, trace analysis, and so on and so on. So I will show you all this. We will go to all these details. You will see, of course, everything. So first of all, to access your system, your colleagues gave me credentials. So I wasn't able to attach. Let me show you quickly. I wasn't able to attach to digital_VE because somebody must have changed the password. So I was able, with the credentials I was given, I was able to attach to this username, digital_VE_AG. So for the purposes of this training, I will use this account to show you around the system. So this may be not good for your _AG user. I don't know who is this, because we will probably be using the system at the same time. I'm not sure even if the system will allow us to be registered. It should actually to be registered at the same time, but it may just make some confusion because we will be sending requests to the database or to the system from the same account. Maybe it will bring some confusion, but usually it shouldn't. Anyways, I will be using this account for my training purposes. So to access Global Roamer account, you need this URL. And once you put this URL in your desired web browser, you will get this famous login page where you just simply enter your credentials and then log in. So this is like a zero root information how to access the system. So once you are inside of the system, you will see our landing page, our home page, with some basic information about the system. So first of all, you will see locations. Locations, by the default, it is set to this map, world map, but you can also change the view of the location so that it will show you the list of all available locations or list of all locations which are currently down to whatever reason. So it sometimes happens that due to some power outages or issues in some of these foreign destinations, maybe these units are temporarily down. So you will be able to view the list of unavailable locations from here. So in the action bar, you can just simply open this locations icon and select to view available or unavailable locations. Um, Further on, what is important on this home page? So once you are inside of the system, you will see that you can click on this home, which will open this home environment. And from here, from the action bar, you can access all these features. So what is important from these features? It's very important from the info link to access documents. So these documents are used by us on daily basis, and these documents are updated by our back office on daily basis. So this is, for example, Annex 1A. This is crucial document that will contain the list of all available networks and technologies on these locations. So I will show you um, here. So this is one example of, and of course, on your Global Roamer account, you have access to this document. So this document was issued July 10th, so 2 days ago. It was updated, and it contains list of all available destinations where you can run your tests on, and this will be available technologies. So for whatever reason, you have your subscribers in, I don't know, let's say in Angola. And then you will see from here that in Angola, we have our unit in Luanda, which is a capital. And there we have possibility to run our tests on two networks, Unitel and Mobicel. And for Unitel, which is with MCC 63102, we can run our tests on all available technologies there, which is 2G, 3G, 4G, CSFB, and voice over LTE. For the second network in Angola, which is Movicel, which is 63104, we only have access to 2G and 3G. So on our system, uh, you will see that there is a specific naming convention for all these technologies. So if you want to run your tests on 2G, you will see that you will have to select from our technologies, type of technologies, parameter, you will have to select GSM. If you want to run 3G tests, it's UMTS. If you want to run 4G, it's LTE, and so on. So this is how the naming convention is. And it's very important to understand that we have this document. So from this document, you can plan your testing. And this can be found on your portal by going to Info Documents. So let me just quickly log in and show you that. As you can see, our landing page by default is the map. So map is also customizable. You can, and then in the info, so in the documents page, you will have all these. So what we have here, it's traditional technologies and locations. Then we have Annex 1B with global roamer test cases. This is a list of all test cases that you can find on the system. Then 1C, it's a list of all fixed, so PSTN and ISDN networks out there. Then 1D annexes list of pool SIM cards so that you understand what SIM cards are available. Then IoT locations, 5G locations, information about RESTful API, and then our roadmap. So if you need to see what's being planned for the future, you can also access it from here. On the info page, you also have possibility to contact our support. So this will be the phone number of the support, and this will be the email address of our support. If you, it's clickable, so you just click on it, and it should automatically take you to your inbox and create an email to our support. Also, from here, if you have issues with accessing the system, you can contact the support from here. And what this will do, it will automatically create a troubleshooting ticket on our ticketing platform, and some from our back office engineers will take over this issue and inform you that they will come back to you as soon as possible and help you with whatever issues you have. Okay. So very important to know about these documents and what information to collect from these documents. Now, in our homepage, so we have these different types of views. So in the start view, it will show you the overview and status of locations, and it will provide you access to various tools. Then we have our portal is designed in this way that you will have what is this? Of course, if you have any questions, I will just quickly go and try to answer to your questions. Sorry, I sometimes just talk too much. So, will there be any questions now, or shall we proceed? No questions. Okay.
Yes, I got a question. My
Okay.
question is, can we perform tests via a hub runner? Sorry, a hub runner, like on phone.
I don't follow you. How do you mean?
We use for our roaming international operations the hub like on phone, which connects to other networks, and they use key to roam. That's a service.
Yeah.
So my question is, can we perform this testing through your system?
Well, our system is end-to-end system. So, for example, if you have some intercarrier problems with carrier in your system, so how can you test carrier? So, for example, if it's SMS hub, what we can do is we can use one phone emulator on A side, and send an SMS to the B side, to the roamer, to your subscriber who is under the infrastructure of this special, let's say, SMS hub. So in this way, you can collect the traces on our system and share them with that, let's say, hub or SMSC owner or whatever, and then you can use our system just to, let's say, have a trace which can be further on analyzed by the intercarrier, and then they can help you to navigate to the problem if there is a problem. So we cannot directly, let's say, collect traces from the hub or from the intercarrier, but we can provide them with the information so that they can collect this information for you from their own system. So this is some kind of example or use case how we would do this. Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. So what is this slide telling us here is that our system is developed on environments. So once you are in home environment, you will see only things related to the landing page and home. Now to start your testing, you will have to be located inside of the test environment, which is accessed by this test setup link here. Now, once you click on test setup, you will see that your web page will completely changed, and it will be available for you to view and create your folder structures for test cases, for test definitions, test flows, and so on and so on. It will completely adapt to the testing environment. Now, what is important to understand is that once you are inside of the testing environment, you will not be able to see reporting elements. So this is something that our customers are quite often come to us and they say, somebody deleted my report. The problem is that when you are in test
Excuse me,
setup,
teacher, sorry.
sorry, yes.
In the chat, you have a new question for my partner, Jennifer Castellan.
Aha, okay. Yes, I see red countries in the map. Yeah, so this is something that we wanted to tell you also. So let's quickly access the system. So we have our world map, as you can see. If you can click on this let's say location, which is a red, if you click on it, you will see a quick description of what is going on with that location. For example, here it says Saudi Arabia, Riyadh is down, and our back office has recognized already that this location is currently down, and they are working and analyzing the situation. And then you will see what operators and what technologies are available there. The similar is for our green or available locations. So if you just click on it, it will show you have there 2G, 3G, 4G, and so on. Now, why? Of course, we can change this view by going to unavailable locations. So why are these locations unavailable? So, for example, in Lebanon, Beirut, there was a problem with power supply. So the local power supply company was I don't know, making some works, they were changing some cable work and so on, and the location where our unit was stored was completely without electricity, and then our local hosting partner was looking for another location. So that's why this unit is currently down, because it's pending relocation to other unit where we don't have problems with power supply. Also for Mexico City, so in Mexico, we have different probes at different locations. Let me show you in the map. So as you can see here in Mexico, we have a unit in Puerto Vallarta. Then we have unit in San Lucas. Then we have, I don't know, unit in, I think we had also one unit in Tijuana, something that's not visible here. Anyways, currently unit in, let's say, Mexico City is down, and this is what these are what we have in Mexico City, all available technologies and networks that we can test. But this unit is unfortunately currently down because, as far as I remember, some customers were asking me for this particular unit, and as far as I remember, it was an issue with the internet connection to this unit. So you can, of course, if you have some critical tests that you need to run at this specific unit, you can, of course, send an email to our support, as we showed you from here, support. So if you have some tests that you need to run on this unit, you can send an email to support and tell them that you need to run some tests in this unit, and this unit is currently down. And can you please provide us with estimation on when this unit will be again available? And our back office will provide you with probably give you some information about availability of this unit. But of course, this doesn't mean that we don't have other units in that country. So usually we have 3 or 4 units in each country. Okay. All right. So let's move on. Yeah, just to get back to that environment issue. So sometimes our customers, as I said earlier, call us and they tell us, okay, somebody deleted my reports. So then we go there and then we spend like 1 hour trying to figure out what's going on, and simply then we see that the customer was in test setup environment, and when you are in testing environment, you cannot see your reports. So this is how the system is configured. And vice versa, if you are inside of the reports, you will not be able to see tests. So because you are simply working with different environments. Because of that, when you are in test setup, the complete view of your web page will change, and then you will see the in your action bar you will see links for parameterization of your test cases, for scheduling of your test cases. And then similar to that, when you are in reporting environment, you will see now completely new environment with view for creating and displaying reports, for scheduling reports, for report analysis, and so on. Similarly, when we are in dashboards environment, we see a view for creating and displaying dashboards and service alarm maps. Alarming, again, different environment where you see alarms. Again, databases, when you are there, you will see that you are in completely new environment from where you can view all your databases. Of course, in that homepage, you will have history and your favorites from where you can easily access whatever you were doing recently and whatever your favorites are. Now, what else is important to know on your landing homepage of Global Roamer is that down there in the user information section, which is here, you always have an overview of the amount of test units that you currently have in your system. So your current account balance is 2,500 test units, which can be seen from here. This is like your monthly pop-up of TUs. You probably receive this amount monthly, and you will be able from here at any time to view your current status. It will always show you your current status of your test units. From here, of course, from this wrench tool, you can adjust your timing zone. So for this current user, let's show you the time zone is UTC. Of course, you can change that to GMT -4 so that it matches your own. And you can might as well keep it UTC if you want to share your results. But this, if this is done from this level, then all your results will be affected. Of course, you can change these time zones also on your reports and tests level. So this can be done like that, like on that simple way, not by changing all, but just some elements. What else is important? Of course, from this person icon, you will be able to access your user data. You can change your password, or you can check your user profile. And then very important part of our platform is our online help. So all information that we will also today present to you will be found, and all these tips and tricks will be found on our Global Roamer online help. So let me quickly show you. It's easily accessible. So just by clicking on this question mark, you see that we have a general info tab where you can go go through site for beginners or view our web start guide, but also in the application tab here, you will have access to all test cases. So let me just quickly show you the very basic, let's say from the base group, the most basic network registration test case, which is location update. So if you click on it, you will see here now the description of this test case, on what technologies it can be used. So it can be used on GSM-UM, which is 2G. It can be used on A interface, which is like SS7 interface. Then it can be used on 3G and IUCS interface for circuit switched technologies on 3G. And there will be a quick location update flowchart so that you understand what is this test case doing. And if you hover over any of these elements, you will be able to see what exactly this element is doing. So our test cases are developed with modules. So we have, this is important to understand also because later on, once we start reading traces, you will see that traces are also designed in this way to follow up on module execution. So there will be a start like initialization of the device. So what does that mean? So our devices are usually in a dormant state, so they are offline, they are not powered on. So with every test case, first of all, the device needs to wake up or to power on. And then the second step is that the device will receive the information about the SIM card and it will attempt to do the registration to the network. So initializing device, registering to the network, and then end. So this is how our system works. So if you hover over initialize device element, you will see that this will exactly do that, and then location update, it will exactly go and perform attach to the network. So it's important to understand this because later on when you start reading traces, you will see that all our traces are also divided with different modules, and it will show you the data aggregated according to these modules. And then below this flowchart, you will have the list of KPIs that are produced by this test case. So as we said earlier, all are stored in the database as milliseconds. Then the strings are stored as, let's say, characters. In this case, it's a like main service type. So service type of the tested service. Let's say it was speech. It will be stored as a character. Then I don't know, RX level, which is the radio strength of the radio coverage, will be stored as an integer in decibels per milliwatt. So this is kind of so it's integer but with that value. So if you have doubts about any of the KPIs that you need to use for your reporting, you can come to our help and find this information here. And of course, you will find how this KPI was calculated. So as we showed you in our materials, the location update duration is calculated as timestamp of end of location update minus timestamp of begin of location update. So this is how it's calculated. So all that information. So this is very extensive help, and it's very good to know it's here and that you can use it. Okay, let's move on. So now we are in testing environment. So it's important again. Everything is important. It's important to understand that once we are in testing environment, that we will be only able to see our tests. So this is where testing will happen. As you can see, your action bar will now change, and you will have here a new link from where you can access to new tests, to new structures like folders and so on. You have scheduler from here, so you can access our scheduler, and then you can edit whatever you are working with. You can edit from here. So these are these three links. So how does that work? So under test setup, what you can do, you can set up a new folder, set up a new test, set up new test flow. Test flows, it's practically just control structures that we have different possibilities to automate your testing with some loops and some structures like while or repeat or so. We will see this later on. What else we can do? We can schedule our tests to run periodically, such as some campaigns or our ad hoc troubleshooting tests and so on. Then what we have here is actually access options for scheduling, updating, renaming, deleting, and we get this by simply right-clicking on whatever element we want on the system. So the system is consisted of these columns that follow up on the tree hierarchy. So whatever element you click on and do a right click, you will be able to do any of these actions, and we will show you anyways these actions later on in details. So from the new icon, you can select new folder, new test, or new test flow. From schedule, you can schedule your tests to run now or periodically. Then by right clicking on any element inside of these trees, you can access our drop down menu from where you can schedule your test or schedule everything in this directory, or you can edit this directory to update it, rename it, delete it, and so on and so on. So we'll show you all these actions later on. Now in the test setup, let me also from here access test setup. So you will immediately see from the test setup that we have down below this test editor, we have these three slides. So active tests, test history, and orders. So active tests, this is the part of our platform that displays all scheduled tests that are currently waiting for resource allocation and currently running tests. So what does that mean? So here we have, if you have started some campaign, you will see what tests are currently running and what is their status from here. And then you will see what tests are waiting for resources. So you have started some tests and you don't have enough resources, so they are now waiting here for execution. Also, this test, for example, here, it's in the stage where it's in module 5A and it's calculating KPIs. So it has already completed all parts, all modules, and it's now running this calculation. This test case is already in module 6A where it's stopping PPPD and deactivating data and getting ready to release the device and so on. So it's very easy to understand the active tests part. Then we have test history. So this will be the repository of all completely performed test cases. And from here, you will already be able to see what verdict was assigned to that test, whether it has met the criteria of the test, such as if it was a pass or fail or inconclusive. So it will be shown in test history. Of course, since we are now in testing environment, we cannot go that back into the history. It will show you here the data from the last 2 days, let's say. But still, we will have possibility to go to the burger menu, as you will see later on the right side, and then from that burger menu, you can send the command to the database to retrieve even more entries which of course consumes the memory and the time, but in case you need to access some historical data, it can be also done from here. But for accessing historical data, we usually go to databases, which we will show you also later on. And then there is a third tab called orders. This will be a record of all periodically scheduled test cases that will be executed by a central unit. So it's sometimes also nice to go. Let's go now to show you to go to this orders tab, and from here you will be able to see all your orders. Even if somebody started some tests by mistake, you will be able to see it from here. And then let's pick up all customers. So usually all periodically scheduled tests will be visible here. So there are none now, so you are good. But if somebody started some tests by mistake and they are consuming your test units, then it's good to know that it can be checked from here. Okay. Now, test cases library. So to create a new test, we go to new, and then from the action bar, and we select new test, and then this new test will bring up these categories. And then if we select voice, we will see that there are many different types of tests that are related to voice. For example, in the basic group of voice tests, you will see that there are different tests flagged with BC. BC here stands for basic call. And then here in this basic group of voice tests, you will find also CS network registration test cases such as location update and list available elements and so on. So anyways, test cases are organized by service category in a tree hierarchy. Voice related tests are under voice, data under data, and so on and so on. Test cases are further subcategorized to specific services, as you see here. So it's basic for basic calls, CSFB for fallback. Voice quality will contain special algorithms for calculating voice quality. So these are also, again, special cases. Then VoIP, voice over LTE, voice over Wi-Fi, voice recognition test cases for whatever reason you might need them also. So there are many use cases that can meet all your requirements. So for the naming convention that we use, so BC stands for basic call. So these are test cases that will not calculate MOS, mean opinion score. So these tests will probably have only like DTMF tones sending to confirm that the speech channel can be activated, but it will not measure any speech quality. What is MO and MT? So MO stands for mobile originated, and MT for mobile terminated. So this naming of test cases, if you see MOMT, it means that this test case will interact with two devices, one on A side and one on B side. A side is one that originates the call, B side one that terminates the call. So this is two-sided test case. On the other hand, BC voice MO, so here we are using only one side to originate a call, and this call will be terminated towards the external number. So then in our test case parameterization, as you will see later on, you will be able to enter manually a number where you would like to terminate this call. This can be your private number also. So what will happen in case of execution of this test case? So we will use only one probe, so one interface on our end, and this one probe will be assigned with one of our SIM cards from SIM multiplexer. And then this SIM card will be used to originate call to your private phone number. And then you will probably have to start the call and listen to the DTMF sequence that is parameterized in this call. This can be like 3 tones, like P, 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 and this is how we check the availability of voice channel, but without any voice quality calculated. Now, these test case categories, so as we said, for voice, we have different types of voice tests. For data, again, we have different types of tests, data capacity, basic IP, parallel data testing, and so on and so on. For messaging, we can test MMS, SMS, SMS over IP, videos, of course, supplementary services with all possible supplementary services such as barring or call forwarding, call waiting, multi-party call, and so on. For roaming departments, we have special tests in special groups. Maybe I can quickly have a look at your system. So as we said, once we start developing our testing environment, it's always, I'm using this account /AG. So it's always good, whatever you do, it's always good that you do it in a separate environment. So always don't be afraid of creating folders because it's crucial and necessary to keep your testing environment separated from your reporting environment. And similar to that, your dashboarding environment should be in also separate directory. So I'll just create one testing directory for this user here, and all tests should be contained in this directory. So once we have our testing environment, so we can just simply introduce our tests inside from here. So I wanted to see if you had on your system the access to roaming, because it's a whole different than, but you don't, so it's grayed out. Okay. And so these IREC tests are grayed out. Okay, GRQ are here. Okay, so we can talk about that. Okay. So GRQ tests can be used for roaming because you will have automated way of creating your most important test cases. So you can select which test cases to use, like let's say voice, data, and SMS, for example. And then you can parameterize like a macro and then expand it to individual test cases. So this will be automated for you. You don't have to create like individual test cases. But this makes only sense if you want to run huge, let's say, outbound roaming campaigns with your subscribers roaming across the globe and you want to test, let's say, 100 destinations. So it makes sense to use these GRQ macro feature. We have the same feature for LTE tests, where we have slightly different test cases inside, also for steering of roaming. So you can use these, let's say, automated environments, unless you want to build it up yourself from the scratch. So which is also a good way, because if you build it up from the scratch, then you have even more control over your testing environment. Of course, we have fraud detection. If you, for whatever reason, want to test for early charging or late disconnect or SIM box detection, so we have test cases for that. Carrier testing, so international carrier quality. We are traditional standard test cases or by using macros, so it's totally up to you what type of testing you wish to use. Then IoT, as we said, for connectivity and so on and so on. Now, how to do this? So we will go to this very basic level of introducing a folder. So very simple. You navigate to your testing environment, you go to new, you create folder, name it to your preferences, whatever. In this case, it's training. And now once we have our folder, it's quite easy to navigate to that folder and to select from tests in order to introduce a test. So in this case, we are introducing from voice basic, one location update test, and one basic call voice MO test. So once we select these tests, they will be visible down below in the selected test cases section. And once confirming by OK, we will see that these test cases will be automatically available in our training directory. So this is how we put tests in on the system. So we can demonstrate that quickly. So we go just voice basic application update PC voice mo. Okay. So this will already introduce tests in our testing. Now, what we can do, we can of course, from the, as we said in the slides, we can right click on our testing environment, and from here, without going to the action bar, so from here we can create new folder. I'll just create one new folder and name it session 1, so that if you come back later on after 2 weeks or 2 months, maybe it's just good thing to have this nicely organized. So I will just quickly cut these 2 test cases and paste it in here inside of the session 1 move. So what is nature of web browser based application? The nature of these applications is that you have to confirm every activity that you do. So we will, of course, we will tell you this later on. We will show you and give you a tip or a hint that after each parameterization and so on, that you should just make sure that you will click on a save button so that all the changes you did are saved. Okay, so once we have introduced now in our testing directory these test cases, we need to parameterize these tests. So these tests are predefined, but still we need to tell to the test to which network to go, to what SIM card to use, and so on. Now we do that by navigating to our test case. In this case, it's location update. So we click on it, and then we click on edit. So what that will do, it will bring up the editor mode of that test case. And this is practically a new window from where you can select simple parameterization or advanced parameterization for your test case. So what are the most important? So in the simple parameterization will be the most important elements that you need to use in order to run one test. So what is that? That is a type. As you can see here, by the default for location update, the selected type is GSM-UM, which is 2G. So this is the naming for 2G network. The other important element parameter for our location update is location. So we need to tell the system at what location to run this test. It can be a country, or it can be a city, special city in the country, because sometimes in some countries we have test units in different cities. Then we need to tell the system from what group of SIMs to use our number. So this is what SIM means. SIM means group of SIMs in which our number is stored. So we select that, and then we need to select roaming too. So here is where we introduce the name of the network, or MCC-MNC. So this is where we tell the system to which network to attach to on 2G. And these are the most important parameters. So what happens if we select it like this? It happens that our test will run on 2G network. Star means any, at any location, using any group of SIMs, registering to, if this is left empty, then it will register to whatever network it will find in that moment. And again, star here, number, it means whatever number is available. So this is kind of very basic parameterization for location update. Now, what is important for different services? So in case of common parameters for all services, so these will be the type, where we need to introduce the access technology for our test case, which can be 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, and so on. Location, where our test case will run. SIM, which is a group of SIM cards used. Number, which is MSISDN of that specific group of SIM cards. Roaming 2 will be MCC-MNC of the mobile network. Maximum TC duration. So another important element to inform you, you will be charged for extra test unit if your test case will run for more than 5 minutes. And that's why we have put the maximum TC duration as a default one to be 5 minutes. So sometimes you need to run some ad hoc tests and you need to keep your data session active for more than 5 minutes. Actually, 5 minutes is more than enough for any scenario to complete. So test cases are usually done in 2.5 minutes, let's say. So this is kind of average time for one normal scenario to complete, which can be, let's say, call from A to B side or SMS from A to B. It takes usually maximum, let's say, 3 minutes for these tests to complete. To have it maximum test duration set to 5 minutes is more than enough for any test case to finish. And that's why our rule is if the interface or the device is busy for more than 5 minutes, then customers will get charged for additional one test unit. So that's why we keep tests under 5 minutes. But this is also reasonable because if you want to keep your device busy for 10 minutes, it means that other customers will not be able to use that device. So you will like block this device for yourself for 10 minutes, which is kind of more than enough for any test case to be completed. And that's why you may get charged for additional one test unit. Of course, if you need to do that, there is a possibility. So you just simply increase this maximum TC duration, let's say to 3000, and then you can open your data and then run some special analysis while the data is activated, let's say. Another interesting common field is description. This is a custom description field where you can put whatever you want, because later on when you build up reports, you maybe want some special custom name here that can describe your special test, so that you use this as a naming in your chart. For example, voice quality in a specific country for a specific roaming partner. So this is, or for specific technology. So let's say here you put, I don't know, Venezuela voice 3G. So this is how you have a custom name for whatever test you are running, and then you can use this custom name for your reporting. And then the last common parameter which is important is ignore RX threshold. This means that if you are running some tests which are not producing some quality KPIs, maybe SMS, it's not important to have a very strong RX threshold. Let's say by the default for voice tests, if it goes above -95, then our test case is programmed to automatically stop the execution of test case. But -95 can be okay for SMS test. So if you set here ignore RX threshold to yes, it means that we will, even if it's -96 or -90 decibels, the right radio coverage, that we will still proceed with performance of this test, because for us it's not relevant. We are just running one SMS test. So this is what that means. Okay, we are now actually down to our first exercise. So we need to create a new folder, rename it, and then create one location update, edit the test definition, save it, and run it. So let me show you this on the system. So in our session 1, we now have a location update test case. So we can either by right-clicking on it or by going to the action bar, we can click on edit. And what will happen, a new tab will open. with the parameterization page. So by the default, the simple one will open. You can change that to the advanced, which has some more features, and we use these more features for some advanced parameterization, which we can explain you also. For example, if you want to filter out some locations or some specific devices on which you suspect to have poor radio coverage or something like that, or you simply have an information that on some resource type you have your tests running with better possibility of performance, then you can make these, let's say, fine tunings from here. Or if you want to, let's say here for the subscriber selection, to exclude a specific MSISDN. So you know that this MSISDN is not, let's say, provisioned with correct data, let's say, then you can just simply use this simple SQL query command to filter this specific number out. So this is a kind of use case for these special parameters. But for us, it's enough to have the simple parameterization. So what we can do is from this drop-down list of type, we can select, let's say, GSM-UM for 2G and UMTS-UU for 3G. So this is just for accessing the radio network. And then location, we can select any available location, as you can see from here. Of course, this has to match your roaming partner and your roaming agreement. As you can see, the networks which are currently not available will be painted in red. So this means that in Lebanon, currently, we don't have any unit which is available. Sometimes if we have, let's say, Lebanon 1, Lebanon 2, Lebanon 3 units, which are like backup units, then you will not be aware that this unit is down because the other unit is covering. So here you will not see red. But this means that all units are down. So this location is completely unavailable for testing. So we want to run our test, let's say, in, so you can also filter. If you just start typing here, you will see we can, let's say, run this test in either in Venezuela dash star. This would mean run my test in any city in Venezuela, but here then we can see that in Venezuela we have only one location, Caracas, but still when we run our campaigns we prefer to use the star or asterisk, because even in the future, if there are more cities covered, then your test, which runs like permanently, which is a campaign, will look for any available location. So this would be like recommended way of parameterizing your campaign. Now for the SIM cards, as you can see here now, you have possibility to access your own SIM cards. So from the VE digital group of SIMs, you have, let's say you have only one SIM with this MZ. Then let's check the second group of SIMs, which is flagged with postpaid. So let's see what we have there. Okay, again, only one SIM card, no more, sorry. If we open this one, we see that we have here 10 SIM cards. So from this, out of this group of SIMs, we have 10 SIM cards. So we can either leave a star so that the system will select any which is available, which is not busy. Now, this is again important later on if you are running some campaign and you know that these SIMs are heavily used. So by leaving a number, any available SIM can be used. But then if you are running some troubleshooting session and you need to send traces to your counterpart, you need to send traces, it's good to send them always from the same number so that they can always use the same number. So then we parameterize our test like this. Now this will run your test on this explicit SIM card, and it will roam too, so you can select from different available networks in Venezuela. So we have 3. If you choose to select empty, then you can see our tooltip from. So if you leave your cursor on any element on our system, there will be a description that will pop up, and it will tell you so that you don't have any doubts. What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? So it's again recommended to use our help like this. So anyways, if you leave this roaming2 parameter empty, so what happens as described here? So if the parameter is left empty, the following selection applies. If the SIM and the default PLMN are from the same country, the SIM PLMN is used for registration, else the default PLMN is used. So there are some rules that will apply if you leave this empty. So here we are in the same country as the SIM. So what may happen is that Movistar, let's say, not Movistar, sorry, the home network digital will be used 73402. Unless you want to try to register to your competitor or so, then you can change it from here. Or if we are running, let's say, steering of roaming test cases, then if you want to check your steering of roaming policy in some other country, then you can use this automatic, and then the system will use all available networks and check it and so on.
If you roam to Movistar, shouldn't work, shouldn't it?
If we do like this, it should work, right?
No, it shouldn't.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So with your SIM, you should register to your network, yeah, like this. So this would be now the very basic parameterization.
But if I select a number from digital,
Yeah.
and if I select a number from digital, the roaming2, I could left it in blank, so the SIM registers in digital, right?
Yes,
But
this would be the as you can
what
see, this is
happens
what
if I select Movistar and then I left blank the other field?
how do you mean? Which other field?
The number field below.
This one.
Yes.
Yeah, this is only taking whatever is here in the group of these SIMs.
Can I left it blank as well?
No. This cannot be left blank. No, it will
No.
show you the error. No, yeah, no. Here you
Okay.
must here you must use either a star, which means any available, or an explicit number. If you are running some troubleshooting test, then you will want to always run with the same number. But if you leave this one, yeah, tell me.
Can you please extend that list
Sure.
on number? I only seen digital numbers there. I was wondering if there was Movistar or other, which should be incorrect, but I say it's fine. It's okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Sure. Yeah, sure. So these are coming out of this group, VE Digital Postpaid. Roaming2, as we said, if we leave this one empty, which is not recommended, because it depends on the SIM configuration you see. So if we leave it empty, it says here, if the SIM and the default PLMN are from the same country.
More useful. Sorry, I think that's more useful if the country allows number portability, so the number doesn't matter, and you can roam to other countries. Am I right?
Well, country, it has to be, let's say, country has to be here mentioned. It wouldn't make any sense if we put a star here, you know, because then a system will not know where to go. It will look for all networks, you know. So, and all networks, it's a lot. It's
Yes, but
so
my question was for mobile network operators. When in a country there's number portability there, and you can select a number with whichever mobile network. I'm not sure if you get me.
I understand. Yeah, if there is a if there is a number portability, yes, I understand. Yeah, so that would make sense. Yes, yeah, you're right.
So I was saying that it would be helpful. Roaming 2, that field would be more helpful if the country has number portability, and I could select the mobile network.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, but for let's say that for our now training, we will just select this explicitly to be the digital. Yeah, so because it's this country and so now it's clear. So by the default, we are not ignoring the radio coverage level, and there are some fine possibilities to fine tune this. Okay, let's not now get like preferred elements and forbidden. So from here you can tell the system that digital will be your preferred element and these two will be forbidden. So you don't want your test case, even if in case there is some kind of number portability, you just want to tell to this particular scenario that it should only register to its home network, no others. Yeah, so this would be the example of forbidden elements parameter. So anyways, as you will see later on, each test case will have these let's say simple standard parameters that you need to populate, and without these basic simple parameters your test will not for sure run as you want to. So these are crucial, and then advanced, these are some special filters. So this is the difference. So okay, I can just save it. Now we have a special button here in the edit mode. So we are still, as you can see on my screen, we have one tab, one browser tab for test setup environment. We have one browser tab for edit mode. We have one browser tab for help. So of course, it's recommended to keep not to keep too many of these tabs open, because sometimes you forget that you have this editor open, then you open another editor and another and so on. So it can be a mess. What else can be a mess is if you are parameterizing, let's say, some for each loops, and each loop contains, let's say, 500 test cases. So it's good always to close the editor and then to use our scheduler to run your test, because if you click here on save and run, it will immediately run whatever is inside. It will run it in the background. So I will now click save and run, and as you can see, the system will just inform you that there is one new order without giving you any possibility to control the execution of this test case. Now if you double click on this test case and go to active tests tab, you will see that indeed this test case is running. So I can now stop it by going to stop execution job, because let's say that I have started this test case unintentionally and I want to be able to stop it and to run it in a more controlled environment. So now it's stopped, and now we need to wait for the system to process this. And as you can see, it's already flagged as inconclusive, so verdict is inconclusive. I can update page or refresh the whole thing. Now, once it's completely done, it's moved to test history, and as you can see, it's the verdict is inconclusive, and status info is aborted by user. And if you go to your consumption account balance information, you see that it still has 2,500. So there was no deduction for this for this one, because we stopped it and it's inconclusive. So to run your test in a more controlled environment, you should go to either to scheduler here or right click and schedule. And now from here, you see that we are running one test job. And then we can apply all these, let's say, fine tunings to your test case scheduler. Okay, before that, let's try to have a look at the second test case that we introduced, which is basic call voice MO. So if you edit this test case, you will see that it contains also that simple information, which is common to every test case. So where we need to check the access technology, let's say it's 3G, then we can set the location. Let's say again, it can be home country. Then again, we can take one SIM card, we can roam to home, select any available SIM card, and now, as you can see, we need an external number where we can make a call. So for this reason, do I have any of your numbers? Maybe I'm not sure. Maybe this number, can I? Is Javier with us? Can I use this number? Yeah, so for voice, as you see, as you have just seen, so we have these common parameters that are common for all test cases, and then in case of basic call voice test cases, we need to manually enter the external number, which we did, and then what else is common for these voice tests? So we have possibility to introduce some prefix digits. This is for converting the original called number in case there are some special prefixes required. Then we can play with a DTMF sequence, which will be a sequence of tones sent to external number. And we can even introduce some wait periods. Again, if you have a need for that, you can, of course, always in the edit mode, you can hover for 3 seconds over any of these elements, and it will show you the description of what exactly that specific field is doing. So for let's say for DTMF sequence, you see that it sends DTMF tones to external number with wait periods. So, and this is the syntax. So how does that work? So it's a tone in seconds or waiting periods in milliseconds. So how would that work? For example, 1, 2, 3, then wait 3, and then 1, 2, 3. So what this will do is, let's say it will send tones like beep, 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 and then it will wait, as you can see here in the syntax. For the pause, we use W, then it will wait 3, which is 4 seconds, and then it will wait, and then again it will send 3 tones. So this is how this should, in case that we call this number, the external party should call this kind of information, and this is how the DTMF sequence works. Then we can play with the call duration. So I don't know, by the default, maybe not for this. I don't see it for this test case. And a simple, okay, advanced. Because we have many now test cases for call. So on this particular BC voice MO, we don't have possibility to play. But for other tests, as you will see later on, like voice quality, you will be able to change call duration. So sometimes you don't want to incur costs and you want to keep the call duration as minimum as possible. So I believe that the default one is 5 seconds, but you can change that to whatever. Then B channel check whether our system will perform check or not. So this can be changed from yes to test only or so. Then B channel check mode, if it will be any DTMF, or you can change the default one also. Now for voice, where we are now actually interrogating with quality, we can change between different compare modes. So for our latest test, we are using Polka algorithm, and we can compare in narrow band, wideband, and super wideband mode. So by default, I believe it's set to NB, which is narrow band. Then for voice quality reference, we will see this later. If you introduce one voice quality test case, it will not have voice quality reference set by the default. We have to set this manually. So you need to select from the drop-down list. You can select from, let's say, English or different languages, pre-recorded audio file, which will be used to create voice quality. So how does that work? So we have voice quality reference file, which is stored in our voice quality server. And once we open a call, this call will be, so we can also manipulate the sending direction of the audio file. So in this case, it is sent from A to B. So what happens is that B side is listening, and it started to record the voice quality, and whatever is recorded on the B side will be sent to our voice quality server to run a comparison between the original reference audio file and the recorded one. And now, according to the quality of the recorded one, we will calculate the mean opinion score. And then in the range from 0 to 4.5, it will produce the level of recorded voice quality. And this KPI will be available for you in the database so that you can report it. So as we saw, there are many different types of voice quality parameters to set. Now for SMS, the only important one is SMSC number, because this is not, again, there by the default. So we need to make sure that we are using correct SMSC to receive and forward SMS, to handle your SMS requests. Then SMS contents, you can put here customized content, or you can leave it like this, and then our default SMS message will be sent in the length of 160 characters. Of course, you can...
Sorry, a question.
Yes, please.
From previous slide, where you saw send direction. What
Yeah.
was that for?
Yeah, so you can send your audio file to the B side, but you can also send it from B to A, which would be like a reverse call. Or you can select to measure the quality in both directions, A to B and B to A, as you can see here. So this is a voice quality scenario, and sometimes for our customers, it's only important to check the voice quality on the B side. So if you are running your outbound roaming tests, you want to know uh, what is the quality of call for your roamer who is registered to your roaming partner. So your subscriber registered to your roaming partner, in this case, it's a B side. So you are interested only in voice quality on the B side. Again, this is good if you want to lower costs on your SIM cards so that you don't send audio file also from B to A. But there is that possibility also. So if you want to produce mean opinion score on both ends, then you would select this one, A to B and B to A. So this is just the direction in which we are sending the audio file.
How can you control the B side?
We can control the B side if it's on our device, if it's not external number.
Okay.
Yeah, so this will be a MOMT test case.
Okay. So I have to select the A and the B number, but they both are testing numbers.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so this cannot happen in case of voice MO, as we have here in our example. So this voice MO, we don't control the B side and we cannot do this. But for that exercise, I will now introduce voice quality to show you. I will introduce one voice quality scenario, and now this will be in the group of voice. Under voice quality, we have P862, which uses the old algorithm, which is called PESC, and we have this one P863. This is the one that uses the new algorithm, Polka. And then in the description, as you can see, we have voice quality multi-transmissions. This one can transfer multiple voice quality samples and perform speech quality check via Polka algorithm. So this can send not only one file from A to B and B to A, but this one can send more, like 8 voice quality samples. So 8 times checking voice quality from A to B, and then if you select also B to A, then 8 times checking B to A, and then we can make like the average out of it to present average voice quality on one call. But if we use the simple one, simple voice quality without multiple audio transmissions, then we are coming to that story. Okay, allow pop-ups. This one will immediately open the edit mode. Now, as you can see, we are controlling both sides for voice quality. And in the send direction, we can tell system to check only on B
Question.
side. Yes, please.
It's maybe a dumb question, but I want to make sure that that's it. That's the case. I want to know if we can perform LDI tests from outside to Venezuela.
You mean like a
Long distance international call.
Yes, sure. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
And both directions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so this is the purpose of this system. So can show you on this example. So for voice quality, you want to, let's say, make a home to visited use case where you are on the A side. It's your country, and it's your SIM card roaming to your network. And on the B side, it's let's say you want to call India, or I don't know, let's say Ireland. So your roamer in Ireland, let's say Vodafone Ireland. So this would be an example of outbound roaming with your roaming partner Vodafone Ireland. And here you want to check the voice quality of your subscribers attached to Vodafone Ireland. And of course, you can check, you can tell the system to check the voice quality in both directions. So as perceived home and voice quality as perceived with the roaming partner, subscriber attached to the roaming partner. At the same time, we are using, let's say, the English reference file. So from the reference files, you can select American English, German, Arab. Yeah, anyways, different. So it's the best always to select this one from the top, the first one from the top. I mean, this is the standard one. And by the default, we will perform also the CLI check to see whether the B side received correct. The CLI is correctly presented to the B side, and this is actually all. So your test is ready to run. Of course, compare mode now, depending on what band is it, narrow wideband or super wideband. So this covers the standard frequencies. So by the default, it's narrow band. But this should now make a long distance call on 3G from home network to visited. Yeah. And similar to that, yeah, let's move on. So for SMS, we have possibility to make the same test for SMS services, but the only difference is now that in SMS case, test case, we need to make sure to put in the SMSE number, because this is not there by the default. Also for data, so we can run our data tests for our subscribers roaming with our roaming partners. Let's say in Ireland, you can parameterize in the same way the test case. The only difference now for data is that you need to put in manually the download URL. So in this case, we want to download just simple google.com web page. And what we need to make sure is to put in the correct APN. So otherwise, our test will for sure fail, because we cannot leave the APN field empty. Also, we need to make sure that the correct DNS server option is selected. Usually it's via PPP, so that the DNS is obtained from the network. So once we put in these important parameters, it should work. So this is crucial for data. Now, tooltips and TC notation, as we already said, it's quite important to understand that any parameter or any element in the test case environment, if you put your cursor on it for more than 3 seconds, it will show you the description. So and it's important to use these tooltips rather than to let's say go to help and waste time. So you have this option here, and it's good to use it. Now for test case notation, as we said earlier, so MO is mobile originated, MOMT is two-sided, so we control both sides. MT is mobile terminated, so these are specific for BC test cases. These are specific tests which they will wait for external party to make a call. Otherwise, these tests will fail. So this is again, but this is only for basic call and let's say basic SMS MT test cases. Other tests have different behavior, but these tests will fail if you don't make a call from external number, because only one side, B side, is here engaged, and it will wait for you to make a call. Otherwise, it will fail if you don't make that call. Now, exercise basic call to external. Okay, we have already parameterized it. Maybe we will run it. Exercise two-sided SMS and exercise HTTP download. Okay, let's try to do that. So,
Dumb question.
yes, please.
Why would I perform a test with MO or MT alone and no MO and MT in one test? I mean, what's the benefit or just testing one side instead of both?
Yeah, you are right. Sometimes if we want to receive a call on our own phone, just to make sure that we understand what's going on. Even though if we have also on two-sided calls, we have debugger mode, which will start recording and give you also the evidence of what is going on with your call. Sometimes we have these, let's say, one-sided test cases, so that just we can make that, let's say, call to an external number, just so that you can either pick it up, or you can call it to a PSTN line, or I don't know, weather support line, and but you are right. In this way, we cannot control the B side. We cannot collect KPIs from the B side. We can only collect KPIs from A side. But again, we have it on the system as it's a good scenario for debugging or troubleshooting purposes. Of course, it's better to use two-sided scenarios because you are in control, of course.
Yeah, I could have the both KPI for the analysis from both sides instead of one.
Exactly, yeah.
But if the B side is not controlled by us, should we use the MO call, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there is no other, there is no other purpose than for some kind of troubleshooting, so that you call your engineer or something that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, so let's try to introduce in our session one testing environment one SMS test, just to show you quickly. So for that, we go to messaging, SMS, mobile, and we can check SMS MOMT test case. It's very simple. If you have doubts, again, you can click on our SMS help, and it will just show you possibilities of this test case and what it does, and what KPIs are produced, and how these KPIs are stored in the database. So just to understand. Okay. So as we said earlier, there are some common parameters that we always need to populate, which is type. So everything that we have been doing so far is for your troubleshooting or ad hoc tests. So this is something that you are doing in case you want to check some service quickly. So we are not yet in preparing, let's say, complex environments like campaigns and so on. So this is just troubleshooting. You want to do some analysis quickly. Let's go to here to Germany. Let's see. So again, this is two-sided test case. We are controlling both sides. What we want to do is to go from your network to your roamer subscriber registered in Germany. Yes, in Germany we don't have any more 3G. All 3G networks have been shut down, so we only have 2G networks available. So let's. So in this way you can like check if SMS from. And then as we said earlier, for SMSC to work, for SMS test to work, we need to introduce correct SMSC. So we have this one, so I believe it should be okay on the database. So you can either leave it empty or you can put in like some custom test here. Hello world. And this is actually all. So all these other parameters are just for do some fine tuning. So this is it should be enough to populate these most important ones. So for SMS, it's only SMSC. Okay, save. And then for data. Now for data, we have different types, different classes, different types of data tests. Here in the basic IP, you can select activate PDP context. So this will only activate the data. It will not do any data interaction. This is just to confirm that activation of the PDP context is possible. Then we have GPRS attach. This will only attach to the data network, 2G or 3G, and without any activation of PDP. Then we have, let's say, FTP, DNS, email, different types of test cases. What is the most commonly used? It's actually the PDP context activation. If you want to make sure that your APNs are working properly, this test case can be used, and to build up like success rate on different APNs. Let's say for the data download, we recommend to use this one, HTTP download 20. This is based on Java engine. So if you just hover over this test case, it will give you that brief description where you see that it's built upon the feature scope of Node.js, so it's JavaScript based. Then what other HTTP download test cases we can recommend? So this one is recommended for, let's say, basic data connectivity and basic, let's say, download of a basic web page like google.com or so. But this one here, PS, it's based on a different engine. So it can be used to access one or more URLs and optionally check the downloaded content. And here we are using the program wget. So, and for that, it can also be used to download bigger size pages or content from the web, like some, I don't know, PDF documents or some content with of bigger size, like 100 megabyte or 200 megabyte. Then we have, if you still want to download bigger content, we have special test cases in this data capacity group of tests. So here in the capacity main, we have HTTP download multiple TCP capacity. Now this test case is again slightly different, and it can be used to download huge content. So we usually use this one for 5G tests. If in the future you want to run 5G tests, then it's recommended to use this one. So HTTP download multiple TCP capacity. Now for our basic tests, we recommend to use HTTP download 20. So this will produce all interesting KPIs. If you are not sure, again, it's good practice to go to our online help, and then here you see what this test case will produce. It will tell you about data download duration, DNS duration, um, download duration, I don't know, downloaded content size, downloading rate. So all these KPI are available for you. HTTP mean data rate, which is stored in kilobits per second as a float. So again, just emphasizing and underlining how this help is okay to use. So once we introduce this test case to our testing environment, again we need to parameterize it. So let's stick with UMTS, let's say for the time being. So what we can do is we can run nationally our test with our SIM cards, roaming home, and as we said, we need for this particular test case we need to make sure that we put correctly the URL, so it will be google.com. What we can do is play with the download timeout. If by the default it's 2 minutes, as we see, and what we need actually for this one to work properly will be only GPRS APN. So do we have here your GPRS APN by the default? Okay, we have this one. Maybe it will work. If it fails, never mind. It will for us be a good example to troubleshoot. So, but anyways, as the simplest possible parameterization for any data test will be again common parameters, download URL, and GPRS APN, and that's it. Of course, DNS servers, this is by the default via PPP, so it's obtained from the network. But if you have some custom DNS that you wish to test, then you can put here even the IP addresses like this. So then this will explicitly look for DNS services from these. Yeah.
Question.
Yes, please.
In the chat.
Huh?
In the chat.
Okay, Helman, can we have a? Oh yes, yes, sure, of course. Yes. I'll be back. Let's. We'll be back. So I have 17 here, and you have. What time is it at your end? Okay. Okay, we are back. So let's just continue. I mean, this is a long material. We will have a lot of things to cover, so I want to make sure that we will cover all these different aspects. So let's move on with the basic data testing. So this is the very basic, the most basic test, where we just showed you how we have some common parameters like technology, location, and so on, and SIM card, then URL to be downloaded, how to obtain DNS services, and how to put in APN with correct IP version. This is relevant. This is more relevant once we start working with LTE tests and 5G tests. The latest networks are operating on maybe IP version 6, but here on these technologies now we are simple working with. Should be okay like this. And this is all for data. So now in our testing directory we already have these 4 basic. I'll just delete this voice MO. It's okay that we know that it's there and that we can use it for troubleshooting purposes, but we have our 4 basic tests now. It's location update, voice quality. So what will happen now if we run? We can of course run these tests individually, one by one. If we just select this one and then right click schedule. Now in the scheduler, very important, always to first look at how many test jobs you are creating. So we are creating 1 test job. But of course we can schedule this whole thing. So what happens if we right click on a folder and go to schedule? Now we see that we are scheduling 4 test jobs. So all these test cases from the folder will be sent for an execution. Now we have 10 SIM cards. We have 4 test cases. This one is one-sided. So 1 SIM card, 2 SIM cards is 3, 2 SIM cards is 5, 2 SIM cards it's 7 SIM. So these tests can run in parallel because we have enough SIM cards and enough interfaces or resources to run these tests in parallel. How they will start, we don't know. We cannot force them because we don't control these interfaces. We control SIM cards. These are our SIM cards. On Global Roamer, they are restricted to your users. Nobody else can use it. But we still can't be sure at what timestamp these 4 tests will start. Maybe they will start at the same time, maybe not. Let's start it. And let's just follow what happens. So we are starting, we see our scheduler, we see that it's 4 test jobs, we see that it's starting now, and all other possibilities are grayed out. We only see that the priority is normal, it can be low and lowest, and we see that it will be aborted after 4 hours. So every out of these 4 test jobs, as soon as we started, these 4 test jobs will have 4 hours of life cycle to complete. If they don't complete in these 4 hours, they will be aborted due to a timeout because no resources could be assigned. So it's as simple as that. So if we want to run it now, we just simply click OK, and now already in our active tests tab, we see that we have these 4 tests waiting, and the status info is waiting for execution host allocation. So you can also click on this one, which will send auto refresh every couple of seconds to the database, and it will refresh status info so that you don't have to always go here and update. So in this way, we are now monitoring execution of our tests. So as we can see, all tests started at the same time because resources were available. So we have our location update already in the section or executing the section 2A module, which is registering to the network. So let's not complicate. Still, there are a lot of things here to check, which we will see later on. But during this live performance of your tests, you can of course access Trace Analyzer and watch performance of your test case in real time. So if we click on Trace Analyzer, we will see that it's refreshed automatically, and currently what's happening is that we are already detaching from the network and switching off the mobile station. Probably the test has already resulted, completed. Let's see. Okay, it's still running, still the information is coming in. So let's, what I can do now is I can switch off the refresh, auto refresh, and then go up to see what happened with this test. Here we see that at this timestamp we have a location updating accept, so our request was accepted, and we have a successful attached to the network. So we can continue the performance of this test and to see that in the overview it's a pass. Okay. So now what happened is that this test case was moved to the test history, so it's no longer available here. It's in the test history page, where we should be able to see now. Yeah, so we have our location update already performed as a successful one. We have one denied location update, which is rejected due to PLMN not allowed. So we probably, I think this is the Ireland. We probably wanted to roam to the operator where you don't have roaming agreement. And let's see the last one, SMS. It's still. Anyways, now this is just a quick example of these three possible verdicts. As we said, so there's no fourth one, so there's no number 4. There is inconclusive, pass, and fail. And this is how you will work with the system. Already in the status info, in the test history, you will be able to see the layer 3 information, which is usually sent by the core network of mobile operator, giving you the result or the explanation for your result, which is in this case PLMN not allowed. So this is already for us indicator that there is something wrong with the roaming agreement. With these operators, we need to call the operator and check if our MZ range is allowed, and so on and so on. So this is the example of one troubleshooting by using our system. But let's stick, because we will come to all this later on. Let's stick to our program. So what else? Now, once we are in our testing environment, and if we right click on our test case, we see that there are a lot of possibilities to do with our test case. We can from here introduce new folders, test cases, and so on. We can schedule it, we can edit to correct the parameterization if needed. We can update, rename, delete, so on and so on. What is important? Well, let's say cut copy feature or copy paste feature, because here we have location update. Sorry. I'm a little blocked. So we have a location update test case, and we don't want to parameterize all over again. all these common parameters. So it's quite easy to use copy paste feature. And then we just simply rename it. And we have already, let's say, built up new testing. Let's say here international. And here we can, let's say, national. So that we differentiate between in our testing environment. Now we see that we have, if we edit this test case, we will see that it's roaming to home network, so it's a national test. And here, of course, it's a copy, it's the same setup. And now to have it international, we just simply need to change the location. So we can put here Germany, Vodafone. Okay, this was just an example, so I'll just delete it. And of course, it's common sense that tells us that this copy paste feature is okay. But what else feature is mentioned here, let me not forget it, is that we can actually export any hierarchy, including the test case setup or including reporting or even alarming environments. We can export it as XML and then send it by email to our colleagues. And then our colleagues can do the import and continue working with the setup so that they don't have to build it up from the scratch. We can also export JSON. So test can be exported as JSON file to simplify creation of API calls from existing test definitions. So this for that API environment, which you don't have, but it's okay just to mention that it's here. Then owner and permission. It may happen sometimes that you have users with different levels of access. So that can also be changed from here. So let's just right click on owner and permission. So here I can recursively change whatever is in the directory to other. Okay, my user is not allowed to do this. So this is maybe for if you have admin user, then he should be able to run these changes. But for exporting, what I wanted to show you, so export hierarchy. So you can just export this XML to your desktop. From here you can open it with Notepad, and then you can see actually what is the structure of your test case. In some critical situations, when we have a lot of tests that we need to automatically change, then but this requires a lot of experience. Then you can come from here and do your changes here. And once your changes are done on, let's say, thousands of tests, then you can simply import it without having to do it manually. So this is one use case for the benefit of export it. But it's very easy to re-import it. So we just select it, open, and you will have in a matter of seconds, you will have your test here. It's just like copy pasting, but with possibility to send it via email to your colleagues. Very nice feature. Okay. Yeah, okay, we have just exercised that. So now we are now entering into test flows. My plan was to do this tomorrow. So let's use the rest of today's session to show you all these tests that we started and how you can understand the environment better. Because from tomorrow, when we start working with test flows like sequences and so on, we will start with quite complex environments. And let's not touch this today. We will have a chance to do it tomorrow. So for today, so by now we have learned how to run these, let's say, troubleshooting ad hoc tests. So here we already we can try to understand what happened here in cases where tests failed. So in the test history tab, so if you click on the entry, you will see down below that you have possibility to access to various features such as viewing details, viewing KPIs that are collected from this test case. You can repeat this test with same resources. You can access trace, edit, and so on and so on. So there are many features here that can be. So let's try to understand. Let's say now from trace, first of all, trace analyzer. Now you see that in the trace for double-sided, so two-sided test cases where we have control over both sides, the trace is split in two windows. So A for A side, B for B side. So we were running home to visited call. So A side was probably home, registered in home network, and B side was our roamer. So what happened with our roamer? Let's have a look. There is this authentication, and we see now here. So in traces, usually all the messages which are painted in blue are messages which are sent from our device to the network, and all the messages which are painted in red are the messages which are sent from network to us. And all these green icons with letter M are measurements, and this is something that our algorithm picked up, and it will use this to calculate later on KPIs. So KPIs will be available at the end of each module. So as you can see here, so at the end of location update module, we see that there are collected measurements with KPIs. Or not, sorry. Yeah, collected measurements with KPIs. Okay. Now here we see that the cause text for our reject network was network failure. So let's go up and find that entry here, location updating reject. So once you click, so every line in the trace which begins with this arrow and trace is actually a layer 3 message which is sent by the core network of the mobile operator. So if you click on this message, down below we will have the interpretation tab where you will see all this raw information such as timestamp and message type, which is in this case location updating reject, with cause, which was network failure. In the overview tab, you will see the full description. So this is something that we also see in our status info. So it's a full description of test case and associated error with all information like what MSISDN was used, what device, in this case it's a UMTS UU device with index number 5 in unit in Germany, Nuremberg, second, so 2 means unit number 2. Okay, now for the trace, so we see in the overview the same status info. In the parameters, we see what parameters were used to run this case. So if you want to look for the number that was used, in our case it was a B number, so here is the MSISDN, and here is it should be the IMSI also here. If you want to just quickly use this information to report it to your colleagues or so, but this can also be found of course in your test case if you simply edit your test case. Then result files, so in different types of tests these result files will contain different information. So for voice, here you will see some kind of recording, debugging recording. In case of data, here it will be like TCP dump and so on. Interpretation tab, this is strictly for reading out these layer 3 messages. So whatever message you click on, the interpretation tab will show you the full message and also the hexadecimal if you click on show raw. So now we already know that there is something wrong with either our SIM cards are not provisioned for roaming, so they are restricted for international roaming, or we don't have roaming agreement with that particular network, which was Vodafone Germany. So that's why our SMSM test case failed. Also, our voice quality test failed, where we wanted to roam in Ireland. Again, we can access trace analyzer. So in the result files, even though this is a voice, we don't have any recording because we simply didn't come to that module where we are trying to initiate a call. So we failed with our test in the location update module, and that's why we never reached the voice part. So that's why there is nothing in the resulting files. Again, we can, in our trace, we can look for the information on the B side. We can also, of course, filter. Let's say any text that contains, sorry, reject. Here you see on the B side. So how does the filtering work? So we have a star, which is replacing any text on the left, and star, which is replacing any text on the right. And then we have a keyword here. So I use just reject to see. And now if I click on this layer 3 message in the interpretation tab, I see the information about the content of this message, which says it's a type of location updating reject with a PLMN not allowed cause. So this is again a pointer that either our SIM cards are not allowed roaming, or we don't have roaming agreement with the network that we were requesting, which was here, I believe, Vodafone Ireland. And this is how that works. So let's see here what happened. We had a HTTP download session. If I edit this one, yeah, this is a home. So this is national data test. And now this test, since it has been completed successfully with all the objectives obtained, we will be able to access KPIs from here. So show KPIs. Oops, page refreshed. So let me just start again. Show KPIs. Yeah. So KPIs are also divided into different tables. So we have here practically list of all databases. So GRQ database and KPI database. So these are two databases, and then these are tables. So main table of KPI database and HTTP download 20 table of K. Now, so how does that work? So main table of KPI database will hold that generic information which is common to all test cases, and this one HTTP download 20 will contain all that information which is relevant to data. So it's from here from where we can extract that information like DNS duration and all that different kind of measurements that we collected from our test case, downloading rate, and so on. But this is only view to our KPIs from here, from the test history. Also from here we can, as we said, access trace. And now since our test was successfully performed, in the result files, we will see that there will be more information like what was the index file. Let's have a look. So this is the index file collected from. Then there will be a zip archive, not JS log. And then for us, for troubleshooting, it's usually the most important one, which is a TCP dump file stored as a pickup. And we can view this by using any, I'm using the Wireshark application, which is available online. And we see now here how this test case was performed. We see that there are some issues in our network. So we see some duplicate acknowledgements. We see some TCP out of order issues, which shouldn't be like this. Again, TCP out of order. Yeah, we see that Google.com comes with out of various IP addresses. So with SSLGS statistics and Google.com, I don't know. Anyways, different pages. But we will speak more about tracing and possibilities of tracing. So for us, for the day one, it's important to understand how we can simply run these let's say ad hoc tests, which are usually used for troubleshooting purposes, so that you can run something quickly and just have a look how that works. So by now we have started or let's say successfully performed 4 tests. So this should be one. So I'm curious to see how many test units now we have consumed. So as you can see, we have spent eight test units. So how come? It's because we used here one. Let's see. Yeah, here is another example. So the duration of this scenario, SMSMOMT, the duration was 5 minutes and 2 seconds. So we breached that restriction, and for that we were charged for additional units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1 for here 7. How can we test this? We don't want to let's say speak about this. We want to have this in our report. So for that, and if we right click on databases, we can open databases environment with a new tab. And here in the databases, we have a special database called self-management database. And in this database, we have account status table. And this table is a repository of all performed activities on the system. So from this table, you can build up, later on, I will show you how, you can build up a report that will help you understand how to read this information and how to aggregate, let's say, the data consumption as per user, so that you can have an overview how your users are consuming these. So in this case, we will have a report where this user /AG consumed all these test units. So as you can see, we have consumed 8 test units, as we said. To access this information in more details, you can go to show details, and we can see that it's our SMS MYMT test case. We can see what interfaces were used. We can see all information, and whatever you see here can be used for your reporting. Now we will see in our reporting session how to create a report and use this data and have this, let's say, report about testing consumption come to your I don't know, inbox every Monday morning. Okay, what else could be interesting? Actually, this is all. So this will be everything for session 1. Now, what would be your questions about session 1?
No questions so far.
Good. Okay. So we have 10 more minutes. What do you suggest? Should we start maybe with the moving on to the new section of the training? What do you think?
Por favor.
We can,
Bueno, el primer día por año es poner
we can continue tomorrow.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
Okay.
One question from my colleague.
Yes.
Hi, Miran, how are you?
Hi.
Well, I have not. Yeah, now you can hear me well.
Yes.
Well, Miran, I have not. This is not a question. The thing is that I wanted to log in into Global Roamer, but I cannot log in. I have the error of username or password wrong. So can you help me with that? Or I don't know if it's someone with someone else.
What is your username?
KA digital underscore VE underscore KE.
Let me just check quickly. I have these. I have the same. Yeah, I have the same password, and it's also for me. It says password incorrect. So I'm afraid we need to communicate this to our support. Usually, you should be able to follow up on. Oh, wait. Let me try to do that to see what happens. You see my screen, right? So usually you should be able to do this yourself. So to go to this forgot your password.
I did it, but it told me that I cannot. I have to contact the administrator or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah. So we have to contact. Yeah. We need to contact the support. Yes. So you should let me. I will try to find. Just a second. Let me try to find the right person for you. Okay, Kelly, I have already emailed your case to my back office, and as soon as I have some information, I will forward this information to you personally. Okay?
All right, thank you, Mira.
Yeah, no problem at all.